Well, back down on the River Swale. It's lovely evening. It's a bit chilly today. The wind is from the east. But it's still quite a pleasant 20 degrees Celsius. It's 7:15. And I've just bought one barbel rod and this maggot rod and a few red maggots. See what we can get. I just get cast in. See what comes of it. Well, the headline in the paper today is D-Day at the White House. President Trump is meeting Zelensky. I've taken a great interest in Ukraine since I was there during the Orange Revolution of 2004. So this is my take on things. A little politics from the Riverbank. Perhaps I should start a new podcast. At the meeting in Anchorage last week, when Putin met Donald Trump with each with two advisors, I think the decision was made there that Putin's demands, the Russian demands, were agreed upon by America, give or take a little bit. Now you have to say, why the rush? I mean, this war's been going on for 3 years now. And it all goes back to 1991, the breakup of the Soviet Union. The Americans have always been terrified of communism. It goes way, way back. And their ambition was that there would be a unipolar world. In other words, there would just be one super state, as it were, in the world, and they would determine what everyone else had to do. And that super state, of course, was the United States. And in 1991, when the Soviet Union broke up, Russia was in an absolute basket case. There was anarchy and battles in the street, bombs on the cars, people being gunned down as sort of a small band of people, which we now know is called oligarchs, were fighting over the state assets, steel, iron, and oil and gas and aluminium and agricultural land, you name it. So America didn't really feel under threat, and they thought that if this carried on, maybe they could make a killing in Russia, divide it up and share up the spoils. But it was all ruined by a bloke called Putin. He's completely unknown, this fella, but he was KGB trained. Just bear that in mind. And in no time at all, he had sorted out the oligarchs. Stuck Khodorkovsky in jail. All of the rest of them saw the light and started bailing out. And in no time at all, Russia, which had been a basket case, the ruble was worth nothing, pensions weren't being paid, you name it. No food in the shops, or what little food there was hellishly expensive. Putin sorted all that out, and Russia very, very quickly began to rise up to be the superpower that it had belonged to in the Soviet Union. Of course, this wasn't good news for the Americans. And they've been pushing and poking at Russia for years, whether it was Chechnya, Georgia, or you name it. So sort of conflict in eastern Ukraine was right up their street, especially when, following the Russian invasion or in 2022, the initial stages of this invasion were a complete shambles. And Russia got their backside kicked and had to retreat from Kiev and surrounding parts. So the Americans, together with the Europeans, met with Zelensky, and he was persuaded by them to continue with this conflict with their backing, particularly the Americans. They had the money and they had the weapons, really. But since then, of course, the Russians have sorted themselves out, and they started making serious inroads into Ukrainian territory. And there are lots of commentators talking about this, Colonel McGregor and Scott Ritter and Professor Sachs and Professor Mearsheimer, and there's no end of them. They've been saying for almost since the beginning of this conflict that there's no way Ukraine is going to win it. And in no time at all, Russia had increased its industrial military industry enormously, with the support, I have to say, of various allies. And they formed a much closer relationship with China and India and North Korea and others. Now, it's painfully obvious in the recent weeks that Ukraine is absolutely being pounded to bits. The war is, to all intensive purposes, lost. Now, it wasn't really a war between Ukraine and Russia. This essentially was a war between the United States and Russia, using Ukraine to do the dirty work. And it's been an absolute disaster for Ukraine. And it doesn't finish yet. So today, when they're meeting in Washington, Zelensky and Trump, Zelensky has taken along with him 6 people from Europe. He's got Mark Rutte, who's the President of Finland, Ursula von der Leyen, who's the President of the European Union or something like that. Our esteemed leader, Keith Starmer. Alexander Stubb, who is the President of Finland. And Macron, who's President of France. Friedrich Merz, President of Germany. And Giorgio Meloni, who is the President of Italy. I think their arrival with Zelensky, I think that's going to really pay off the Americans. So what I think is going to happen today, and it was signalled last week by Vice President Vance. He said, I've got it written down here so I don't get it wrong. He said, Americans are sick of continuing to send their money, their tax dollars, of this particular conflict. But if the Europeans want to step up and actually buy the weapons from the American producers, we're okay with that. But we're not going to fund it anymore. And I think that's what's going to be decided today. Well, it's already been decided, I think. So, the humiliation of Zelensky in the White House in February, I think, was just a warm-up. I think it's going to be a completely different ball game today. I think they're going to be really firm with him and put him in his place. So I think the Americans, they want out of this war before the Ukrainians surrender. If the Ukrainians surrender, then it will be seen as a loss for the Americans. Whereas by getting out now, they can blame the Zelensky and the Europeans for not doing enough. So I think the Americans are going to ditch it. They're going to say, thank you very much, we're out. And the Europeans are going to have to pick up the bill if they're going to continue to support Ukraine, which all the evidence seems to be that they are. I mean, Zelensky was in Downing Street last week, hugging Keir Starmer. So we're going to be landing with a tab. My own opinion, for what it's worth, is we haven't got enough materials or cash to continue this war for very, very long. All it will do is prolong the war, but the end result is going to be the same. Just means more people will be killed. What an appalling mess. Anyway, there we are. Politics from the Riverbank. Get back to fishing. Crayfish. Well, that's a little dace on maggot and a big crayfish on pellet, but nothing on the marble front at all. And it's cold tonight. Anyway, time to go home and see what's happened at the White House. So for the back through Swale, take care. See you now. Bye bye. Well, just come to Middleham, 20th of August, the evening. The whole field has been killed off and covered with a great mass of manure. I'm just going to have to make my way across to that, the river which is just down there. Yeah, the water is slow and clear. The machine flooded back forward across this field. I hope we don't come anywhere near here. Well, I'm up here at Middleham. That north-east wind still blowing. It's very cold. All wrapped up, hence the hat. Busy spraying this field with manure. Drip machine flooding backwards and forwards. Never mind. Don't mind the smell too much. At least it's not really about as hen muck. Oh, treated sewage. It's just absolutely horrendous. It's just going on 6 o'clock. I just got some maggots here, a maggot feeder. That's it. Oh, there are some worms. So yeah, just I'll take the water temperature and see what that is. I suspect it's down to 19, 20 by now. It's the 25th of August and this is Top Cliff Weir. You can see that it's very low. The river is confined just to that far side. Nothing coming over this side at all. And coming down here it was 28 degrees Celsius. Bank holiday Monday. It's the 25th of August. Bank holiday Monday and it's absolutely glorious evening. Lovely warm breeze. It's just going on 6:15 and I've just fetched one barbel rod down and I'm going to see if I can catch some more of these big dace in here. So I've got some maggots and a feeder rod with me as well. Yeah, just get settled in. Enjoy it. Fantastic. The forecast is for rain tomorrow. But from what I've seen, there isn't going to be very much of it. Not on the east side of the country anyway. a nice perch on a lobworm. I do love the colours on these. That lovely stripe camouflage and gripping mouth. They are a very bonny fish. Yeah. Yes, pleasing. One of these lovely big dace on the maggot. They only seem to come on late on. That's Knocking's barbel. Time to go home. It's a very big fish. But thinking of barbel. It's a very, very nice end to the evening. Lovely. Well, it's been an absolutely lovely evening on the bank. Warm, slight breeze. Wonderful. Anyway, unlike at Middleham the other day, when I was just plagued by minnows, nothing else. Had some lovely days. Good perch. I mean, they're a bonny fish perch, aren't they? Sort of exotics of the River Swale. And right at the end there, a nice barbel just to finish off with. Yeah. Anyway, well, back to the River Swale here. Take care, we'll see you again. Bye bye.